Okay, for first one topic, the article written by George Monbiot is perhaps an argumentative text as it argues about this decision made by the Committee of Climate Change and the drawbacks of the target set by them. Okay, for the content, the author stated that we are already in the state of climate emergency, yet the government still act using incremental planning, which is waiting for the disaster to come and then plan to deal with them after that, instead of having rational planning where we will predict the disaster and we plan everything beforehand. The author also criticized the Committee of Climate Change (CCC) by looking at their apathetic report that barely mentioned about what method they will use to replace the trees when the reduction of cattle and sheep are going on. The planting method is stated in the article is pathetically slow, merit from the ridiculous assumption that if land is not suitable for commercial forestry, then it is not suitable for trees. Here, the author says that CCC does not expect to have wild woods, but plantation of trees that could be harvested later, looking that the community also befriend with Drax, which is an energy company that is leading this disastrous technology. The later discuss on the absurdities of target culture, and it is backed by giving example of greenwash scandal and a part of David Boyle's book TikTok. The author also touched on the policy of maximization that has been manipulated by the government. At the end of the article, the author urged that the CCC's board be disbanded and replaced by people who actually care for the nature and climate emergency without prioritizing the politics. Okay, for the audience, the article is targeted towards climate change activists in United Kingdom, as the issues discussed is the mistake done by the CCC in order to curb the consequences of climate change, which would definitely gain the interest of climate change activists. It is said that climate change activists in the UK to be the target audience, as the article is discussing about the fall of CCC. Committee of Climate Change is an independent non-departmental public body that is formed under Climate Change Act 2008 to advise United Kingdom and Parliament of United Kingdom on tackling and preparing for climate change. Thus, this shows that climate change activists in UK would be more aware to the existence of CCC compared to other climate change activists anywhere around the globe. Okay, rhetorical function. The article is written to persuade the readers into believing that the committee's action is wrong by arguing about the decision made by them. And even in the title itself, the author used the term "let's abandon climate targets" and do something completely different, indicating that he is advocating the readers to abandon the target set by CCC. The author also used the term "we" and "our" to indicate that he is on the same side with the audience to make the audience persuaded. For instance, in the 13th paragraph, we are all familiar with the absurdity of target culture. We know how, in many workplaces, the target becomes the task. We know. So we can see here the author used the word "we" and "our" to make as if he is on the same side with the audience to make them feel more persuaded. Okay, for perspective in the article, the author believed that the committee had made a grave mistake by setting the target that are no match to climate crisis and keep condemning that they prioritize political priorities over scientific method. In my humble opinion, I disagree with the author's stance based on three major counter-arguments. Okay, first and foremost, the committee did not make a mistake by not choosing rewilding or natural regeneration as the main way, as they find planting is even more suitable towards the land use, especially that being used by the cattle and sheep. George Monbiot here said that rewilding and natural regeneration are much faster and more effective compared to planting. Okay. However, an article written by Julia Patrick on low carbon Oxford North stated that Dr. Cecil Geraldine, science lead of Oxford University's Biodiversity Network, refuted Monbiot's argument by saying that different places have different ecosystem. Thus, the right method may be different to other places. Tree planting is more suitable for the land that had been used by cattle and the sheep because it is far away from natural seed sources. Okay. If it's far from natural seed sources, rewilding or natural regeneration cannot take place. Okay, next, the author also condemned on the target set by CCC, who only set the limit towards temperature increase to only 1.5 Celsius. He stated in the article that UN report shows that by preventing more than 1.5 Celsius would bring much greater impacts toward cutting greenhouse gas emission. However, the author does not reconsider why CCC had taken to just limit it to 1.5 Celsius. There are actually a few factors that cause CCC to not lower the target from 1.5 Celsius. According to an article released by Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit, to reduce emission to zero in electricity, the industry should change to renewable energy, and nuclear generation. However, in the UK, most electricity is produced by burning fossil fuels, where only 21% of the electricity comes from nuclear reactor. But UK nuclear power station will close gradually over the next decade or so, with all but one expected to stop running on 2035. It is also stated in the article like industry like aviation and agriculture, it is highly unlikely that emission will be brought to zero because UK is a global player in the aviation sector and has the third largest aviation network in the world, whereas agriculture is 69% of the country's land area. Thus, the target set by CCC is relevant when the factors are considered. Okay, on top of that, it is also hard to believe that CCC had done a grave mistake, according to the author, because the committee itself is lined up with experts in climate change science, economics, behavioral science, business, and industry, while the author himself only had Bachelor of Arts in Zoology. It is also impossible for the committee to be free from politics and economy as well, because these two are trivial in handling growth of the nation. They cannot just abandon UK economy while deciding something. For instance, the target 1.5 Celsius is set after taking all factors of electricity, aviation, agriculture, and economic growth in UK that are based on the industry. Positioning, the participant in the article are the Committee of Climate Change, CCC, and the UK's government. Both participants are portrayed as the antagonists in the text. The article keep mentioning how CCC had done a grave mistake while setting the target and how the government blindly followed the target while trying to manipulate the policy of maximization. Both CCC and the government are connected to each other, as CCC is an independent, non-departmental public body that is formed under the Climate Change Act 2008 to advise United Kingdom and Parliament of UK on tackling and preparing on climate change. For the impact on the targeted audience, which is the climate change activists in United Kingdom, to believe that the decision made by the committee was wrong in handling climate crisis is most likely to be successful. The author managed to persuade the readers, thus making the impact successful. Okay, first, the author managed to grab the targeted audience attention when he used the term climate crisis and mentioned the natural disasters with a future warning in the introduction part. That is considered as a genius move, as it will alarm the reader. Okay, knowing that the targeted audience are in UK, he began the attack on the CCC, which is well known among the climate change activists in the United Kingdom. The author also able to give ample examples on situation in United Kingdom, which would be more relatable and easy to understand towards the reader. For example, the author shows the effect of target culture by giving example of Windrush scandal that is well known. a well-known scandal that happened in 2018, if I was wrong, in United Kingdom. So that's all from me for this presentation. I hope you all stay safe and stay home. Okay. I'm Zur Ain, presenting from home. Stay home, guys.